Hey guys, welcome back to Meadow Green Farm. So today we're starting a project that I've been waiting for a long time. And it actually was something that was in our 5-year plan to do about 3 to 5 years down the road from now. But given that our gilt Loretta is about to farrow, we need to get some heat up here at the barn for her piglets. So today we start the long-awaited project of bringing 110 volts from our house up to our barn. So stick around, we're gonna have some wiring fun today. We went over a couple options for getting heat lamps up here at the barn. We always wanted solar, but right now I just can't justify putting the solar system on the barn right now because of the fact that the heat lamps consume so much wattage and the other additions that we're going to want at the barn. We decided to just go ahead, break down, spend the money, and actually hardwire from the house up here to our barn. All right, so here we have our beautiful sketch of the completed or what we want to do with the barn. So we have a 60 by 32 barn. Over here we have our IBC totes, and I've even included some of the plumbing that we wanted to do. And I've already completed some of this. So you saw in the last video, we went through, we put in some pig nipples here and in both of these farrowing stalls over here. So this part is all completed. And what we're going to focus on today is basically the wiring. Further on down the road, we do have a couple IBC totes just off the page right here. We have a water line coming in, and I'll explain where that's going in just a moment. So we have our incoming power coming in right here. We're going to be putting in a sub panel right here with a disconnect so we can shut the power off right at the barn. That way if anything happens up here, we need to service anything, we can just shut the power off to the entire barn and be done with it. Coming out of the service panel right here, we have 3 switches. One that controls the chicken stall right here. We're going to have a light above that. Another one, we want to hang some string lights going down the middle of our barn. And then the other switch is going to control these 4 LED lights I have placed over here. So that's these switches. And then I have an outlet right here in case we want to run the chicken plucker or we want to run an extension cord for a saw or we're doing any work in the barn. We have kind of an auxiliary outlet over here. And then over here, this is where I'm going to be placing my AC charger for the electric fence. As you can see here, each stall is going to have a light with a switch right by the door coming in. And then these 2 stalls right here have outlets for the heat lamps. So the focus for today is going to be putting in this power panel right here, and I'm going to start running this outlet and this light. Loretta is in this farrowing pen right here, so this is the most important place that I got to fix. So let's go ahead. We're going to start by hanging our power panel, our disconnect. We're going to wire those 2 together, and then I'm going to start running some Romex to these boxes right here. And then eventually I'll start working on these over here. All right, so we're going to start by hanging this panel. I've already got 1 screw in to get this in place. I'm trying to make sure that I got access to all the knockouts at the bottom, clearance on the sides. We can go ahead and level that up and put the rest of our screws in. All right, so we got our sub panel in. That's looking good, nice and level. We have our disconnect right next to it. The next thing we have to do is get power from the disconnect over to this bus bar in the sub panel right here. Once we do that, we can snap in all of our breakers and then we can start running Romex off of our breakers right down over here, right down this board. It's gonna go over here to the switches. So we are back at this today and we got about an hour to do some work. So I think what I'm going to do is I came up here a little bit earlier and got the switch box in from the outside. So I think that this location works really well for me. I'm kind of happy with it. So as you can see here, box is mounted flush to the outside. Eventually these boards right here will be taken down and a door will be going there. But in the meantime, we need to run some Romex. So let's start doing that. We're gonna run right out of this panel, come right down this beam, up this corner, around where the door is going to be, down the header, down the post, and into the box. So this is how I like to run my Romex. So we got about 6 to 8 inches in the box. Then I have the Romex loosely stapled to the wall right here. It's a good idea to try and keep the Romex nice and flat. As it's coming out of the coil, it is kind of hard to keep it flat. So what I like to do is keep it flat as long as possible. Make sure you're getting in staples every 16 to 18 inches. Then when you get close to the panel, what we're going to do is just bring this up, trim it to length, and then take out all the twists in this line. And the reason why I don't nail these down and keep it flat as I go is because I'm actually going to stack the Romex. So we're going to run another line of Romex right in with the same staple, and then save ourselves some space on this board to run a couple more wires. Alright, so this is where we're at on day 3. So I only get about an hour and a half a day to work on this project. And unfortunately, Miss Loretta here is getting very close to farrowing. We think it may be tonight. If not, it's probably going to be tomorrow. Her milk is dropped. Her vulva is getting really inflamed and starting to leak. She's showing all the signs, heavy breathing, nesting. She is ready. What I've done off camera is wired up this outlet right here. I need to somehow get the heat lamp in here working and get ourselves a light source tonight. So my plan is this. Off camera, I wired the outlet. I have all my switches ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and install those. I'm going to run a line of Romex over to the next stall and get a light in there so we have that for tonight. And then I'll probably run one around here tonight and put it over on the wall so that we have light in this room right here. And what I'm going to do is actually back power into this panel right here. So we're going to feed power into this panel from a generator. I need to go get the generator, make sure we have plenty of gas for tonight, make sure everything is all set in case she farrows tonight. So this box right here, what I'm doing is, this is our first switch position. So this switch right here will turn on the light for this coop. This line is the line that I just ran. We're bringing that into the same position as the first switch. So this Romex right here is bringing power from the circuit breaker box to the first position. I'm going to tap off of that and provide constant power to this line, which will run out down this beam to this switch. And then out of this switch, we simply just go up into the light box that I just installed right on the roof, right there. So when we need to install a switch for over here, all I have to do is come in here, grab that constant power again, one more time, tap off that, go up this beam, and just keep daisy chaining all the way down. So one circuit breaker in the panel is going to control all 4 of these lights. So one circuit, 4 lights, 4 separate switches. It's as easy as that. So to wire up this switch, the first thing we're going to do is just simply cut this Romex back. You want to have about 6 to 7 inches, something like that, sticking out of the wall. It gives you plenty of room to work, and if somebody comes in here later on and has to cut a little bit off, you leave them a little bit of wiggle room to wire up whatever they're doing. We've got our knife right here. We're simply just going to score the Romex. Don't want to go too deep on this. Pull that right off. Pull the paper off of our ground right here. Do the same circuit going out to the light. Now we're going to create a jumper. So we're not going to tie this directly into the switch. We're going to create a jumper where 3 lines come together and then one of those legs comes out to the switch. So we can do that by using a scrap piece of Romex right here. We'll just score the jacket, pull that back, and pull out our jumper. So we're going to go ahead, lightly clamp onto this, spin it around, pull the jacket off. One important thing that you want to make sure you don't do here is scoring the copper. That's the no-no right here. So we'll score, strip both ends. We have our jumper, we'll put that down for now. We'll go ahead and score these 4 legs coming out, too hot, too neutral. So there are 2 different ways that you can make this connection. The first way is to use one of these quick connects right here. I do have some of these, I do use them sometimes, but if it's somewhere that is, I'll say, more of a permanent position for me, so if you're doing this in your house, I will typically use the wire nut. So we've got a wire nut right here. We have one of these wire nut installation tools. These things are really slick. I think I mentioned it before, but this just goes right in the drill. We're going to put our wire nut right down in there. We'll grab our 4 hot leads. You do not need to twist them together or anything. All we need to do is make sure that they're stacked and they're all coming out to the same length, same plane. Take this guy, stick that right on there. There you go. Easy as that. I killed my fingertips for years with linesman pliers and trying to get these Romex wire nuts on. And I found that tool on Amazon. I think they're like $6 or $7. I'll leave a link for it in the description, but they are slick. So I forgot one thing. I need Romex coming out of this position to the light. And instead of putting the wire nut on and wiring everything and then having to take it apart when I get this light installed, I'm just going to go ahead and do it now. So we're going to go ahead and score this. At this point, what I like to do, so I don't lose my place and everything, is start putting on my switch. So I know that this is power coming in. So we're going to go ahead and put this onto the top lug of the switch. Now this leg right here is power going out to the light. So this guy is going to go onto the top of the switch right there. Now we have power coming into the box, power going out to the switch. power coming back. Returning power goes back to neutral. So we're gonna get a wire nut and go ahead and zip all these three together. So at this point, I got one more thing to do, and that is go ahead and we're gonna tie all these grounds together. I'm just simply gonna wrap these around this ground right here. Crimp the end. So ground our switch. Try not to bend the lines over if you can. You don't want to fold them in half. Just want to kind of curl them up and get them out back. So we have off, so we know our switch is in the right position. Go ahead and mount the switch here. Alrighty, so we got power going to the switch, power coming into the box, got our ground on the switch. We're gonna go ahead and mount the switch, and then we are all set. Alright guys, so we put the light in Loretta's stall, and I went down the house, got the generator, and filled it up with the gas and got it going. We were back feeding the panel, it was getting dark, and wouldn't you know it, as soon as I get that generator started, Loretta starts farrowing. So we're going to show that in the next video, but for right now, what we have completed is I came through off camera the next day after she farrowed, and I put in the remaining lights above the second farrowing stall we have, and the stall where our barrow and our other gilt are, where their food and their water is. So we have hard water lined into both farrowing stalls and the pig stall for the barn, and we have power up here now. So we ran the generator for a few days, and then we got the spool 1,000 feet of Romex in. We ran that down, plugged it into the house, got everything set up. So we had lights, we had heat up here, everything's been great. I also came through here and I hardwired our electric fence. So we've been running off of solar. Now we're running off an AC charger, a brute force 8 joule AC charger for our poly wire fencing. This will be the same fence charger that we're using for our cattle fence line. So I really wanted to get that in place, make sure everything is functioning and working perfect. And our lines are way more hotter now. Our board Doc has stopped testing the fence lines as much as he used to. He did break up in here the day that she farrowed. With all the commotion, he busted right through the fence lines, and that's when I knew we had to get the fence a little bit harder. But the good news is we have all the power up here to our barn. It is absolutely beautiful. We love spending time up here at night now with the string lights going on, and just being able to come in here and turn on a light switch and spend some time with the piglets when it's a little bit darker. Wrap on today's video. We have everything wired right now that we need to wire. The only thing left that I have to wire right now is actually the lights over across the barn, right, you see right behind me. That area where I showed on my plans where we're going to have 4 LED lights, I'm actually going to make an opening in the side of the barn for my tractor to get into. I'd like to keep this area that I'm standing in right here where the tractor's parked behind me. This is actually kind of like a drive-through. We can actually drive our Jeep with the trailer through here. And I would like to keep it that way. It's a lot easier to unload feed, and it's just a lot less walking and lifting. So I want a new parking space for the tractor. We're going to be working on that in a couple videos from now. But for right now, everything's wired up, and I'm super happy. that's gonna be a wrap on today's video. If you liked the video, guys, give us a thumbs up. It helps us out a lot. If you want to watch the piglets next week and you don't want to miss that video, hit the subscribe button. They're adorable. We hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.